Alrighty then. Welcome back to Rogue Trader, everybody. So you should get my usual spiel out of the way. My game is heavily modded. I have access to every weapon, anything I want to get at a moment's notice, I can get it. This playthrough is purely for the sake of, for voice acting. This game is lacking a lot of voice acting in the main game. A lot of characters, when they're doing primary stuff, you can get their vocals, but otherwise, voice acting is distinctly missing. So I am here to fill in those gaps wherever I can and flex my ability to do so. So hopefully you enjoy the performances, and if you don't, well, I'm sorry, but that's just how it's going to go. The ship's augurs have detected an explorator base set up in the middle of the jungle, and forces sent to scout the area have returned and are reporting that the camp is completely deserted. The very tech priest they encountered was found dead in the edge of the strange abyss that had split the planet's surface. Judging by the notes left behind at the camp, he pushed all his companions into the abyss, one after another, and remained forever motionless at the brink, waiting for tidings. As the tech priest fell into the deadly trance, his silver skulls guarded him until the end, but he could not save the master from dehydration. Does that count as completed? It is. Okay, perfect. Okay. Back to Mundus Valancius. You were in your chambers enjoying some well-awaited rest when you were struck by a strange sensation. Something at the level of animal instinct. The doors seemed to be locked and no one could have entered your chambers with your knowledge, and yet you were not alone. Oh! There is the man, the myth, the legend. Unnatural silence reigns in your chambers. The dust motes hang frozen in the air before you. The candle flames cease to flicker, and two enforcers who came to check on your quarters stand still statues, all in stark contrast to the other silhouette that is utterly unlike anything else in the room. A massive, inhuman figure forged entirely from dark metal stands towering in the middle of your chambers. Despite your arrival, the uninvited guest's attention seems to be captured by the trophies on the walls of your study.
Interesting. Quite interesting. The only item of note in this worthless heap. But what is the genesis? The originating cause? A definitive answer would require more thorough research. But the testimony of even a primitive creature will serve. You. Where on the ship did this object come from? What do you know of its provenance?
What object do you mean?
This is testament to how the ancient enemies of my kind were defeated at the hands of your primitive people. Do you know how this object came to be here and why it occupies a place of such honor?
The item belonged to my predecessor. You know what? Let's go look at the object. Some kind of fragment?
I suppose you are rather proud of such crude and flimsy reasoning. A lamentable sight to behold. I can see this is a dead end for further research. Since you have proven useless for my inquiries, I am ending this pointless conversation. Farewell, human.
A moment later, the strange atmosphere in chambers dissipates, and your frozen enforcers stir into motion once more. Exchanging bewildered looks, the pair hastily make the sign of the quilla and haltingly mumble words of greeting, clearly ignorant of what has just transpired in these quarters.
Lord Captain? Lord Cap...
Venture forth.
Nirava Valencia, have you returned? I hope the sacred document I entrusted to you last time has not successfully passed through approval procedure. Here is your paper, complete with seals. Octa lenses of the old woman's nose emit a subtle hum as she adjusts the magnification. Yay, so yes, indeed it is perfect. The seals are authentic, so we may continue the certification procedure. Follow me, please. This is your queue, and your ticket number is... Orwell's ocular lenses hum as she zooms in on the paper in her hand. 394. When it is your turn to be seen, the ranking prefect will review your recommendation again and sign the official certification for J. Haidari to possess a Mercantum Tabula Officiale. You'll have to bit of a wait, but then it'll be worth it at the end, yes? If I must queue, then I shall queue. I bid you good day. May the law and the Emperor keep you.
Onward to victory.
The queue hums with thousands of voices. Someone has rolled out a bedding and is settling down to sleep. Someone is playing some bizarre musical instrument. Many are praying. Several highborn petitioners are debating who is here on the most important business. You have to admit, the magnificent administrative machinery of the Imperium isn't without its rough edges. Jai smiles sheepishly, eyeing the queue. But what a thrilling adventure it is turning out to be, Shireen. I've never seen anything like it before, and sometimes it's good to take a break from the constant traveling. And to give all the hot-blooded newcomers a chance to cover themselves in glory without us in the way. Already serves to prepare a waiting area befitting a rogue trader. You feel the envious eyes of the other petitioners upon you, but no one dares to do anything more than stare. Other people in the queue. People are constantly moving, coming and going, changing places or simply disappearing from view. On your first attempt, you count 238 petitioners. On your second attempt, you can count 244. On your third attempt, the next batch of unlucky souls is ushered into the hall and you lose count. Actually, after catching her eye, Jai purrs surreptitiously as she glances at Kibala. If you were to tell your pet assassin to put on a little show in his room right now, I bet the queue would get a whole lot shorter. To defile one of the blood-spun sacraments by dedicating it to your avarice? Think again, blasphemer. That's the back of your neck. You have whiled away 30 seconds of your wait. You wonder how long you'll have left to go. Yawn. The minutes drag by intolerably slowly. Somewhere in the queue, a child is howling at the top of its lungs. The palace adepts are sedately moving documents from one pile to another, shuffling papers. Several petitioners have gathered in a huddle and are swapping rumors while some has laid down for a nap on a nearby bench. 8 hours. In the last 8 hours, everything that has changed in the waiting hall is the warden shift. The petitioners in the queue placidly await the blessed hour when their appeal will be heard by high-ranking servants of the Imperium. The entire queue perks up a sudden announcement. Number 285, proceed to available window. Throne, take me. What torturous style have we let ourselves in for? Jay almost wails in despair. So much precious time is lost, and we've only moved 3 places ahead. At this rate, we'll be old and grey before we get out of this queue. You have a better idea? You won't be, Sherry. Jay Hadaria always has a better idea. What would you say to making the good folk ahead of us hurry up a little? Just a switch. Her eyes dart playfully over the faces of the people around you. The simplest way is to make these lowly subjects bow down before the blinding radiance of our title, Shireen. Second option requires a little more patience. I have already found our first victim. The compassionate citizen who is standing 50 paces ahead of us in queue. Simply offer the right words to unlock his heart and he will gladly swap tickets with you. And also, you have the power to solve the problems of some petitioners, removing their need to visit the coveted window. After all, is there anything an ordinary citizen could want that is beyond the power of the conqueror of the stars to grant? Talk to the tender-hearted man. Jay matches your eye and lays a hand on the shoulder of a weary-looking gentleman. May the Emperor illuminate your path, brother. I am Jay, and this is Nero. We've been in queue quite so long already, and we're practically family now. Won't you tell us what brought you to this palace of order? Man starts in surprise. Yes. The light of the throne bless you. My name is Menes the Peer. I have been here a month already. I have tried everything I can to get through the window. Nothing working. My poor Elena. She's my daughter, my flesh and blood. They detained her on Verbo 6. Charged her. Can you believe it? Charges were false. That's how our administratum operates. Menes covers his mouth and glances around fearfully. I've said too much. I apologize. It's my nerves. My nerves. I just keep thinking about her there on Verbos. Settle down in the mines, my poor Elena. As delicate as a flower she is. She's got weak lungs, you understand? Always coughing. And her now down in the mines, all that dust and muck. She won't cope with it, she won't. She was acquitted 2 years ago, but to get to the paper certified and seal, so much time has passed and now here I am standing waiting. It doesn't matter, at the rate the queue's going, I'll be 10 cycles or more before our numbers come up. Oh, what is your daughter accused of? Falsely accused, falsely accused. She was slandered. They say that she deliberately poisoned the whole room of highborn folk with cakes. Have you ever heard of things like that? These nobles didn't even take as far as the privy. Panic, outrage, scandal, and so what? It's their own fault, that's what. A crate of fine Calixin wine was found. Ha! And the smugglers were found too. And what did the smugglers do? They framed someone else, and my daughter was charged. Of course, blame the smugglers. Why don't I simply pay you and you give me your place in the queue? You, what? My hesitates. The deal. Of course, I'll give you my ticket. My poor Elena, delicate little flower. We need the money. Yeah, for her recuperation. Not as smooth as it could have been, but you certainly have a style of your own, Sherry. Oh, what now? You move forward considerably in the queue, Shireen, but you aren't ready to stop there, are you? I'll be honest, Shireen. I've already tried convincing Heinrich to use his delegate Rosette with sweet words and pretty songs I cajoled and wheeled, but he remains unmoved. Like a rope whipped by the winds, perhaps he will be more amenable to a request from you? Sister Argenta, for instance. Jay's voice becomes noticeably warmer. She could engage people in prayer or tell a story about some saint or the other in exchange for their queue tickets. People will be amazed if you show them your tamed Xenos. They'll drop everything they're holding, including their tickets, and come to goggle at her, I guarantee it. You'll also continue to use her talent. And check it out. No, that could be more disastrous than suddenly erupting volcano. Shireen, forget it. Ugh, we need to move forward. Use your tricks. I'd prefer to call it my wisdom learned through many years of experience, but I don't care about the precise wording just now. How do you wish to proceed, Shireen? Sister Argenta, I believe these people have been gripped by despondency. A sermon from one of his daughters could restore them to their determination. You're thinking about it as well. Argenta's gaze is clear as the midday sky. Words of faith can heal any wound, even those that bleed not but doubt. I will help these people. As they say on Efreet, there is no star more coveted than that which points to the Exalted One. Jay casts sidelong glances through battle as the latter holds out several numbered tickets to you. And these were given to me in thanks by the poor souls who decided to abandon their vigil in this palace of law and return to their worldly matters. We've moved considerably forward in the queue, Shireen, but you wanted to stop there, are you? Whatever you're thinking, do it. Did you not tell me twice, Shireen? All is fair in love and bureaucracy. If these ashmaks want to be tricked, I won't stop them. Jai smugly watches the agitated crowd whispering among themselves and jabbing each other with sheaves of paper. We've moved forward considerably in queue, Shireen, but you want to stop there, are you? I wish to solve the problems with the common people. A wise decision, Shireen. Cultivators always say if you can solve a problem with hard cash, then that's just the cost of doing business. Jay gives you a conspiratorial wink and backs away slightly. Oh, Exalted One. Could today be my lucky day? No longer will I have to stand in this hall waiting day and night for my turn to come. But this kind lord of House von Valancius is a benefactor of the downtrodden, and he has solved my problem. Esteemed Lord, take pity on the poor youth as well. I'll give you everything I have, I swear before the Emperor. Only help me solve my problem. We don't need everything, poor wretch. Only your place in the queue. Listen to the young man. The young man, in worn work overalls, comports himself with unusual grace for a commoner. My lord, I have been in this queue for 24 moons already, trying to get a permission slip to wed my fiancée Zazie. Unfortunately, the servants of the administrator refused to grant it without the signature of a highborn sponsor. Out of my way! Elbowing aside onlookers left and right, a richly dressed woman with a beauty mark augment above her lip charges towards you. Esteemed lord, my 8th offspring has lost his mind. He decided to renounce his family, his noble title, and his talent as a healer, all for the sake of some tattered waif from the middle levels. A union with a commoner who would put an end to his studies at the university. But should Dargonus and the Officio Medicae be deprived of a capable chirurgeon just because of a passing fancy? Thus, he's a healer too, and she helps the people hive a great deal more than any lily-white chirurgeon with a diploma. I do not want to live a life of idleness in the spires of Dargonus like you, not when I know there are thousands of unfortunate people in the lower levels who need my help. In the name of House von Valancius, I hereby make your fiancée Lady of the Court and release her from any obligations thereto. I'm going to spend several seconds opening and closing his mouth and shock. That means a marriage will finally be certified? And Zaz will be able to become a chirurgeon now too? I don't know how to put it. Thank you, my lord. Here, take my place. I will return this time with my fiancée. You have an interesting way of doing business, Shireen. I'll keep that in mind. Jay's shrewd eyes are alight with interest as she watches the young petitioner leave. After allowing you a brief pause, a hunched ragamuffin approaches you. The old man's toothless mouth breathes out a putrefying cloud of air as he asks, speaks only 3 words. Death for life. Jay peers over the man's shoulder and reads his crumpled form. You are here to request mortification, that your organs can go to your granddaughter as inheritance. You would hardly want your worn-out body parts, old-timer. Ragged man shakes his head and covers his face with wrinkled hands. Serve it at disposal. Only now do you notice a tattoo on his right hand, the symbol of the Tetris Administratum and several interlocking chains. It seems this old man is the property of a prefect of this palace. He looks at the man's form again and rears back in horror. The granddaughter of the poor wretch was turned into a servitor 16 Dargonus years ago. After a recent accident, she was listed for disposal. Now this old man is volunteering to be spare parts for a soulless tin can. May the exalted one keep me from such a fate. The old man's withered lips curve in the semblance of a smile. May the Emperor keep you. Interesting. So that's how ruler of worlds and all the stars this guy acts when he finds an unfortunate on the edge of a magnificent orbit. Jai nods pensively and beckons the next petitioner forward. A mature lady in finely made but threadbare dress greets you. I heard you were helping those in need. Well, my family, it's devastated. My life's work, my shop selling rare hats, burnt to ashes. I'm living out my last years as a widow, alone in a cold, deserted manor without servants, diversions, or delicacies benefiting my status. I suppose you should remarry then. I'll have my wheel select the best spouse for you. No. Why would you? No more husbands or wives. I'm too old for all that. All I want is to enjoy the last couple of my years. Yeah, perhaps I can rebuild a shad shop of yours. It's really gonna sparkle life. Why? That's a wonderful idea. Please take my place in the queue, I insist. I will leave my details with the retinue and go. Well, that was amusing. I pray that the last few onlookers who were willing to give up their place, it's a pity they aren't so amenable. She expects tickets and now she nods and holds and nods with satisfaction. We've moved well considerably in the queue, Shireen. Wait patiently. The hum activity returns to the queue. Petitioners exchange glances, clutching their paperwork. After a few seconds, you realize that the number being called out by the service call for the third time is the one on your ticket. Well, I've been faster than I expected. We are a little bit overweight, of course, but at times it was actually fun. Jay smiles wearily. One last seal, one more certification. You'll be looking at official trade representative Jay Haydari. What are you waiting for, Shireen? Let's go. We have another couple of hours with the certification officer to get through. The certification officer leans over the document, his smoothly shaven head gleaming, his augmented ocular eyes whir as the lenses zoom in and out. The quiet scratching sounds, the cogita quills that serve in place of the officer's fingers make notes on a fine sheet of paper. The document is hereby certified, says the rasping voice through the metal jaw with its integrated vox. Return to the Master of Seals in order to proceed, and may his light and wisdom guard you. Next!
Marching ahead.
The Temple of Law and Order greets you, Nero von Valencius. You have returned without necessary paperwork, I presume? Here are all the seals placed by certification officer. Wonderful. The Emperor blessed you with patience greater than their portion to ordinary mortals. Allow me to verify the authenticity of your documents for the final time. The old woman holds the documents close so that they are almost touching her nose. Her mechanical ocular lenses clicking incessantly. Yes, confirmed. Everything is in order. And this one, the seal is smudged slightly. Jay's smile evaporates, revealing her true emotions. Void scorpion scratches my eyes, now what? Jira says as Jay in surprise lets out a whistle. Well, that came out of nowhere. It's understandable, given all the circumstances. Just one strike, not in his name, not by his will, merely for myself. Would there be a grave trespass, I wonder? No, I must banish his thoughts. I suppose I can overlook it, given that the rest has been certified correctly and promptly. Congratulations, Jay Hayadari. You are now an official Mercantum Tabulo Official. Do not forget to repeat the certification process every 110 years. Uphold the law of the Imperium proudly and honor the worlds in the Coroner's expanse. And one more thing. Loss of the certificate is a grievous transgression, Miss Haydari. Lose the original document and you will be unable to regain your status as an official trade representative, not even with the rogue trader's endorsement. Yes, esteemed Damar. Now give me the certificate already. Come on. Jay's eyes dart over the Mercantum Tabulo Official and shine with delight. Praise the exalted one who saw me through these trials, Shireen. There is something to tell the grandchildren about, how a humble mortal became a trade representative of the Imperium. Let's not bother the Damar any longer, Shireen. Why don't we discuss our next steps on the ship? Okay. Finally, we're done. This shit.
Let's seize the moment.
And we're going to go to Vehibo 6. Plasma macro cannons. Lance weapon. These are not kinetic, right? We'll try both of them and see what happens.
Shireen, light of my eyes, giver of boons and savior of the needy. From now on, two sons will grace the firmament of the Font Balancius Protectorate. One bright and powerful, like the rogue trader himself, and the other slightly more humble, like his unassuming partner, the diligent owner of the Mercatum Tabula Officiale, and all-around delight, Jai Hidari. As I promised before, my crew will be your eyes and ears across the entire expanse, Shireen. Just give them time. And of course, the assistant to official trade representative Jai Hidari is already rushing to Dargonis to deliver goods of rare and exquisite quality to you and your people, O master of many worlds. And once again, thank you, Shireen, from the bottom of my humble heart.
Is that the extent of your gratitude?
I actually have something else for you, Shireen.
Jay smiles conspiratorially and leans towards the hot breath building in the air. The court reader shamelessly holds your gaze, ignoring the disapproving looks of surrounding officers, and waits for your reply. Shall we continue this away from prying eyes?
If it will bring peace to your heart, Shireen, then we most certainly shall. Time goes so quickly in the arms of your beloved. It seems the Exalted One has gifted us an eternity of happiness.
Okay.
Domin. I'm here, Domin.
All of my thoughts are of you, Domin. May the
Lord Captain, urgent report. We have received an astropathic message from Regent Artano Orselio. Navigators are concerned about the fate of Cassia, who disappeared from Durac 5. The Regent is requesting an update on her current status, and he has also inquired about the possibility of a personal meeting to negotiate and to arrange the return of the Lady Navigator to our house. The psycho-emotional coding of the received message betrays acute concern. It also contains something the astropaths have failed to put into words. If you'll excuse my forthrightness, I feel it's necessary to tell House of Celio the truth. Otherwise, a conflict with the Nabis nobilite is possible, which, given the current state of the Coronis expanse, will only play into the hands of the enemies of the Imperium. Tell House of Celio that Cassia is safe with and that the rogue trader would be honored to meet in person. I'll see to it, Lord Captain. Astropaths will transmit your consent. Representatives of House of Celio will be waiting on you on the capital world Dargonus. Receiving members of the Navis nobility is always a delicate matter. Please make sure to discuss the details of the meeting with your Chancellor upon arrival. Permission to report. Your proctor has arrested my voidsman and is demanding his execution. A repeat offender, he says. Please do something, Lord Captain. Who is the voidsman? He's one of mine. Not as big of an idiot as the rest of the idlers. He understands the control systems, and he can make sense of the readouts. Him, a repeat offender? With the detained man to you immediately. I'll personally interrogate him. Consider it done, Lord Captain. Lord Captain, I beg you to look into this outrage. This cyber horror nearly chewed up my assistants. One of them's been left without 2 fingers. Instead of calming the beast, the arbitrator attacked my crewmen. Someone waits for the end of the master helmsman's words and coolly turns to you. His crewman is a wanted man, rogue trader. He is accused of subverting sacred tithe shipments, smuggling, kidnapping the Imperium subjects, and bribing officials. Were we not on your flagship, I would have executed the heretic on the spot, but here you are the authority and you are the court. Ravor, did you know about this? If I were to stick my beak in the pasts of every one of the 100 peoples in the crew, I wouldn't have time to steer your ship. All I know is that when everything went to grok shit on Record Menaris, this one oversaw the work at the docks so that the fools didn't trample each other to death in their panic. And later he ran into a friend at the port of Footfall, and they fought us some pass within a day. Even got arms growing up out of the right place. He might make it a junior helmsman if he keeps it up. Solomon, why are you certain this man you're seeking? Because I was personally involved in tracking down and purging the shadows of the Abyss crime syndicate, to which the perpetrator belongs. The case was in Calixus on the world of Helvetica Prime, but arbitrators in time and distance do not mitigate guilt. The man before you is the former captain of a smuggling ship owned by the syndicate. Check the heretic's left arm. Every syndicate member has a distinctive implant by which they recognize each other. It was that implant signature that Glato picked up during one of his patrols. Accused, do you have anything to say? Long-haired boysman flinches when you address him. Your lordship, the governor of Helvetica Prime was a scumbag who abhorred the light of the God Emperor. Things he did to the people under him only survived by stealing from him, or else we'd have ended up in a corpse pit like 1 in 4 did after a distribution station accident. But once I'd gotten out of there, that was it. I was out of that business for good. When I found myself in your service, I realized that it was a gift of fate, that I'd be a fool if I didn't repay such good fortune with my wholehearted toil. Why did you release this? I am a master for my subject, Solomon? The bastard tried to run when he saw me. His fellow crew members hesitated and didn't make way for me. There was no time to find out if they were abetting the perpetrator or just panicking, so I had to use Glato for the suppression purposes. How did a criminal from the Calixtus make his way onto my ship? He was among the servants sent to you by Governor Medine. I made my decision. With your orders, rogue trader. Master Helmsman shoots a look of naked dislike at Solomon. Ravor, this talented voidsman is your responsibility. If you commit any misdeeds henceforth, you will have to answer for them. Yes, Lord Captain. Ravor, discard of grimace momentarily dissipates. Hey. Then the case is closed. With your permission, I'll return to my duties. Oh fuck. Wrong button. Lord Captain, we've cross-referenced the key casualties of the system with our astronomical chart data. The planet Variable 6 is located here. The problem is no augers can detect an unusual change in the atmosphere. Not unlike a massive release of toxins, it appears something unfortunate has happened to the planet's underground storage facilities. Is it possible to land safely on the planet just now? Unknown ships are cruising in the system. Now if you need any cog to analyze it, I can decipher the telemetry easily. Xenos. The armory artillery crews are standing by.
Vapor 6 always was a penal world. But this, even the miscreants of this place do not deserve such a fate.
Forge ahead. Never linger.
The tall, lithe Xenos moves with the grace of an otherworldly predator. The creature gives you a dispassionate glance and casually speaks a few words that are immediately picked up by Elucidator. Macandis aileth, what is this? As one of the sisters found an amusing trinket in the ruins and saved it as a special treat for the Archon. Xenos takes a quick look over her shoulder towards a platform where a few more silhouettes in tar black armor can be seen. Hendrix narrows his eyes and gives the Xenos with a bracing look. The Drukhari of this breed are known as witches, Nero. They are experts at bloodletting in arenas and on the battlefield. However, I am more interested in the ones skulking in the shadows. Judging by their armor, they are high-ranking representatives of a cabal, a military clique from the Drukhari Dements. It seems we have disrupted a vile performance for their disgruntled guests. It seems it is I who's in for a treat. I cannot even begin to fathom why my subject found such an exotic beast, and a talking one at that. Xenos' eyes light up with interest. The monkey understands my speech. Where did you come by a device that can translate our language? I try to impress me with appearing useful. Such words will earn you a bout of the ring at most, without weapons and soon without your skin. If I'd be the one holding up the device, then she and I would have words. I'd make sure that stuck-up bitch knew exactly what I think of her. Humans scatter around you on the platform stare as if they have seen a ghost. Eyes of some of them betray their fear, others glares with bestial hatred, yet more look on with hope. Who are you? My name is known to everyone on this planet, monkey. I am Tazara the Deliverer, Tazara the Benevolent, one who grants respite from the choking grasp of this world. I decide who lives, who dies, and who finds new purpose for their existence in Kalmara's many arenas. Surely this is why you have come here? To fight for my ever-changing favor and for the privilege of being first to be chained? Yedlier chuckles heartily. Such grandiose name for a soulless wretch who tortures the breathless and torments the powerless. Your words hint at a nobility you never possessed. Cousin, what are you doing among this rabble? What an unexpected and tantalizing surprise. Zara licks her lips hungrily. I cannot wait to take you in my arms and clasp you tightly to me. Do not waste your breath on lies. Only the faint vestiges of blood connect the Suriani and the dark ones such as yourself. How could you stoop to this? To killing one another for the amusement of enemies of humanity? The hulking brute who can barely stand coughs up blood and wipes his lips. What was I supposed to do? Lie down and die? The numbers who survive the arenas, the Xenos take them away. I saw humans bordering the ships with my own eyes. They're going to take us away from here, you hear? This statement is false. You are supposed to furnish yourselves with the means of respiratory protection and inflict maximum damage on the perpetrators before ceasing your vital functions. Stupid Ashmax! Do you think Durkari will whisk you away to a far-off wonderland? At best, he'll put you in chains at worst. Doctor's voice boomed with denunciation. Now I see why the arbitrators prefer to execute criminals immediately, because this is what they will do otherwise with the life they have offered. But the moment they fall into the heresy, they hardly have the right to be called human anymore. All they can do is then from sink on deeper. Yeah, who gives a shit about us convicts? The lanky buggers may keep me on leash, but at least I'll be alive, not coughing up my lungs. Jay opens her mouth and freezes, clenching the collar in her chest until her knuckles turn white. If I were faced with such a choice, the Exalted One will guide me on the right path. How cruel you are to your unfortunate kin. These monkeys have worked hard to entertain their elite audience. Each of them fights with the strength born of desperation, seeking to earn their place in my box of toys. Always room for more. My toys do break so very easily. To be reduced to a Xenos plaything. A shameful fate for the scions of humankind. Abelard falls silent, shaking his head in dismay. I presume the toxic atmosphere is your doing? It could be. Or perhaps your presence is enough to make a base creature like yourself forget how to breathe. That's not a nasty chuckle. Are we really surprised at what happened? You wove the net right under your own feet. We merely knocked out a pin that drew it close tight around you. A couple of volleys at the seals of the underground well, and the planet and you had been turned inside out to the rest. I hereby declare you a Category 3 blasphemer for tampering with the sacred production cycle of this world's extractiums. The drill on Pascal's mechadendrite springs to life with a howling screech. And your brethren finished what the planet started. Oh, how they strive to please me and my entourage. How they slaughtered and tortured their own kin for mine and my sister's delight. How they decorated the little arena with still living monkey. You think that all you see before you is the work of our hands? Think again. I am a rogue trader, the Emperor's anointed, guardian of humanity and your doom, Xenos scum. Oh, what passion, what naive arrogance. When all this turns to boundless despair and clinging terror, my guests and I will savor such exquisite pleasure. I would play with you myself, monkey. But then performances would be brief, and we wouldn't want to upset my guests now, would we? From the dusk behind Tazara comes a cry. The distance between you and the Xenos is too great for the hallucinator to interpret the words, but the tone alone speaks of irritation and impatience. The spectators grew bored with the performance, hit a snag, and reaches for his weapon. Tazara raises his blade and points at you. Tell the other monkey and whoever slits your throat will depart for their new home ahead of schedule. And tell them to hold nothing back. Tonight they dance for Eumeris herself, the great Archon of the Cabal of the Reaving Tempest. Do you truly wish to die at the hand of Xenos' behest? If we join forces now, we can end this senseless carnage once and for all. Exhausted and defeated, face of trade worried glances. Alkebrut next to you hesitates and spits and breaks into a grin. Yeah, we're going to die anyway. Might as well do it without the heretic's brand. Slay the beasts. Tazara emits a furious scream and takes a step back, signaling to her companions.
Let's set this in motion.
is a prayer.
Just designate a target.
I'm bored of this fast Zara. Who rules this arena, you or the monkey? Agron Humorous.
If it serves your cause.
The surviving fighters turn their heads towards you one after another. All eyes on the battlefield are glued to you. Those who vote with me, get to the shuttle as soon as we are away from here. I will give orders for the immediate evacuation of any remaining survivors.
Keep a sharp eye.
Let's see this through.
Right, before we take on... Actually, wait, let me just... Okay, I'll go for a smoke. Be right back. Okay. Your Lordship, let me look away from a data slate. I hope your stay in Dargonos will be beneficial to your physical and mental state. I understand that the heir to the protector must have his hands full, but one shouldn't forget about the rest. What about the meeting with the navigators of House Ocelio? We're going to immediately focus on the data slate in our hands. Allow me to report. The esteemed navigators of House Ocelio have taken residence in the guest estate and await a meeting with you. How would you like to receive them? Make a reasonable reception worthy of the refined tastes of the Navis nobility. Understood, Your Lordship. Dementia promptly makes a note on a data slate. Would you like to hold this meeting shortly? Yes, Cassie and I are ready for the talks. The message is sent to retrieve the esteemed guests. A tall, wizened old man proudly stares at you with milky, unblinking eyes. Loose skin sways with his every move as if the navigator's flesh is detached from his bones. An unsightly hole mars the regent's face where his nose should be, and the old man's skull is covered in spiky growths. Rogue trader. The regent's piercing voice cuts through the silence. On behalf of House Ocelio, we would like to express our immense satisfaction at this meeting and our gratitude for the warm welcome. It pleases us to know there are still laws in the Cronus Expanse who observe etiquette and traditions of hospitality. And yet this is not why we are here. Our Grace is obliged to note how much the Rogue Trader has done for House Ocelio by protecting its beloved child. We waited for many turns to behold her radiant visage. Regent shifts his unblinking gaze to Cassia. Come now, child, there's much we need to discuss. Cassia smiles faintly and addresses the Regent. Esteemed Regent, it pleases me to see the gleaming sheen of gold and turquoise above your brow. It is thanks to the efforts of the Rogue Trader that I stand here today, and there is much I want to tell you, but what is it you desire to hear most? We know what happened at the station, child. Your connection to the Atlas has grown strong. We felt turmoil in your soul at the events that transpired have shaken us. Also, Celia is deeply grateful to the Rogue Trader for the destruction of the saboteurs. We are willing to reciprocate such a magnanimous gesture. We trust that a treaty of friendship and alliance underpinned by the transfer of several artifacts of exceeding rarity will suffice. Now, come, child. It's time we depart for your new home so we may finish what we started. Esteemed Regent, perhaps I could continue my education while accompanying the Rogue Trader on his travels. Just imagine how much I could learn beyond the bounds of... Cassie notices the Regent's fierce glare and falls short. Cassie, I would be honored if you decided to stay. Unthinkable.
Don't just stand there. Help the Rogue Trader defend the child and the palace.
Down with Tisiphone's tyranny! Kill the gods!
you shall survive!
Poised for action.
Onward!
Weapon at the ready.
If I must. Another soul slips beyond the veil.
Follow my lead. Stay vigilant. My faith strengthens me. Break them around.
Weather the storm!
Follow my.
See. Great Navigator covers her face with her disfigured scaly hands, each with an extra finger and conjoined phalanges bones. Her clothes are covered in blood, mostly from your servants, and several unexploded bolts are sticking out of her chest plate. Rogue Trader, whether in purpose or of ignorance, you are harboring a monster that is cuttingly pretending to be an innocent maid. Spare me, and I, Elena Heteria Orselio, will swear to you the whole truth about the madness that is devouring House Orselio like a malignant tumor. Do not let the regent deceive you with honeyed lies, lest your cursed child ruin your protectorate as well. You see rage and despair in Lady Abigail's face, but neither is directed at you. If it will be decided during trial, Lady Elena, I will hear what you wish to tell me. Thank you for your lenience, Rogue Trader. The naturally bulbous eyes of a navigator constantly shift between you and Cassia. Black secretions run down her cheeks instead of tears, leaving unsightly streaks. I, Elena Heteria of House Orselio, swear to tell the Rogue Trader nothing but the truth. May the God Emperor be my witness. Pathetic. Silence! With all due respect, House Orselio can hardly cover itself in glory thus far today. It's time its representatives answered before the Rogue Trader. Regent Aranto. Representatives of your house made an attempt on Lady Cassia's life and attacked a Rogue Trader. Rogue Trader, House Orselio humbly asked for your lenience and forgiveness. We could not even imagine these vile rats could be scurrying among our ranks. As for them sneaking into the Rogue Trader's palace and staging an unthinkable crime, God Emperor be our witness, the accursed renegades seek to spark a feud between our houses. Be that as may, you are responsible for the actions of your people. Give me one good reason to not execute you on the spot. You don't want a war with the Navis Nobilitae house, Rogue Trader. We could achieve much more as allies. House Orselio is an injured party in this, just as you are. The renegades infiltrated our ranks, weakened us, implicated us before the Rogue Trader, and almost killed the most precious thing we have, our noble child. Do you really think we wish death upon the one who is destined to lead our house to greatness? We're ready to tell you everything we know so that this misunderstanding can be remedied as quickly as possible. Tell me about the renegades. They are madmen who seek to destroy centuries-old traditions of our great house, so carefully nurtured by the previous novator, Tisiphone Orselio. They deem the century of our rule a tyranny, and our most sacred relic a curse that must be destroyed. Fools! If the Atlas were to be destroyed, the whole house of Orselio would follow it into oblivion. Why do the renegades seek to destroy the house relic? They dread its power, for only a novator can fully grasp the mysteries and harness the power of the Starway Atlas. What the renegades call a leash, we call a guiding star. And why are people trying to kill Lady Cassia? Anyone in the house knows a child is the keeper of the one true Starway Atlas, which once belonged to a great novator, Tisiphone Orselio. The ungrateful wretches hated her grace, and when Tisiphone abdicated responsibilities and set off for paths unknown, they staged a revolt to destroy her successor. Does Cassia really carry Tisiphone's Atlas? We believe it with all our heart. The novator spent many cycles on the world where the child was born. They said that everyone who witnessed the miracle of her birth simultaneously departed for a destination known only to the novator. Tisiphone gave the order and followed them soon after, giving her precious gift, the Atlas, to Cassia, and therefore marking her as her successor. Looks like House Orselio has fallen on hard times. The regent stays silent and then replies, to call your statement false would be a lie. For many years we managed to maintain the fragile balance within our house, but then the novator's departure shook the faith of many. Treasury is empty, navigators are scattered, the warp routes are scrambled, and many of our allies cannot be reached, which is why it is so important to complete the child's education. It is Cassia's duty to take Tisiphone's place and lead the house to prosperity. Such is her great destiny. What do you know about Cassia's unbridled power? A special gift for a special child. She was born with it and grew up under its influence. The instability sometimes hampered her education, but we learned to prevent most outbursts. As long as the child remains calm and remains in seclusion, powers cannot take hold of her mind. Not enough. Lady Elena, what do you have to say in your defense? I do not know what it is you wish to learn, but I start from the very beginning. A long time ago, Tisiphone ascended to the throne of Orselio. She was a daring novator who brought part of the house to the expanse, hoping to strengthen our position in the Imperium. The house prospered, but Tisiphone was never satisfied. She went mad in her pursuit of power, seeking more influence, more control. She saw enemies everywhere, even among her loyal followers. Paranoia was slowly driving Tisiphone insane, and one day she created the Starway Atlas. A relic that is implanted in our bodies at birth, a noose around our necks, our gift and our damnation. Tisiphone used the Atlas to control us, subdue our will, and mold our thoughts. If anyone put a toe out of line, she killed them with a glance. At first, many branches of House Roselio tried to resist her tyranny, and Tisiphone cut them down with extreme brutality. For example, the entire Sithala branch was destroyed simply because its leaders asked too many questions about the Atlas and wanted to know the truth about its creation. What else is Tisiphone Roselio guilty of? Tisiphone's madness weakened the dynasty, and not long ago the Novator vanished. Indeed, her loyal followers lie when they say she chose to retire. The truth is that nobody knows the truth. I hope she is rotting away on one of her secret worlds. Lena finishes with a sneer. I understand Tisiphone's transgressions, but what does any of that have to do with Lady Cassia? Tisiphone passed her Atlas on to her successor before fleeing the house, to a newborn child. We could not surrender the throne to the tyrant's creature. Tisiphone was cunning and treacherous. She must have hatched the entire plan beforehand. Her disappearance, the child, the transfer of the leash, we feared that one day she would be reborn in Cassia's body, and we could not let that happen. You called Cassia a monster because of Tisiphone's Atlas. Largely yes, but there is more. Have you ever felt pure, unadulterated disgust when standing close to her? Or fury or fear? Who but a monster would manipulate the minds and feelings of others, even more so than Tisiphone did herself? Why didn't you attack before? Why now? Tisiphone always had plenty of opponents, but we were afraid to trust one another. Any of us could be spying for her followers. We saved our strength and dealt the first blow in 5 years after the heir was born, striking at one of the estates on the Earth TV, but the girl survived, and the regent Aronto hid her so far away and guarded her so thoroughly, it took us 13 years to find her. And then another 2 to get the regent's good graces and reach Urak 5. Now Cassia's in the spotlight and the House Council is about to put her on the throne. Surely there's no better time to cut off the serpent's head. So you admit Regent Artano was not aware of the assassination attempt. And the clicks her tongue loudly. Regent Artano is guilty of mass killings, intimidation, inhuman torture, abetting Tisiphone, and raising her heir. His crimes are many, but this one is not among them. I'd love to see his head on a chopping block, but the honor prohibits me from slandering him in a trial before the rogue trader. I think I've heard enough. Rogue trader now knows about the regent's atrocities, the girl's corruption. I hope I succeed in warning you about the dangers that lurks within Cassia or Celia. Regent again? It's fine. Lady Cassia, you two are injured party in this. What would you do in my place? If I may speak, so many dirty colors have poured from the mouths of those present, I feel covered in filth from head to toe. I, as a future novator, I want to bleach them, purify them, and let them go. Heed me. I am the one to blame for what happened today, and I accept full responsibility for the actions of my house. Cassia speaks bravely and openly, though her hands are shaking a little. Vile wretch! Who do you think you are? We now start killing those who have displeased you as Tisiphone did before you. The fear on Elena's face gives way to desperation once she realizes what she has said. She slowly reaches for the Atlas embedded in her chest, looking at Cassia with obvious fear. Dearest child, this burden is too heavy for you to shoulder alone. You are not yet ready. I implore you to settle this conflict. I offer the rogue trader a 100-year contract with House Roselio, committing us to charting the shortest and safest routes for the Von Valencia Protectorate within the Corona's expanse. I will also remain aboard the rogue trader's vessel and will assist him until he decides otherwise, or until duty of the house summons me to the novator's seat. What are you going to do, Lady Elena? The esteemed regent will put Lady Elena and her people in one of our family gulls. She is a House Roselio Novate navigator after all. There is no need for our precious blood to be spilt. Lady Elena stares at Cassia incredulously with bulging eyes but remains silent. Her hand restlessly caresses the spot where her atlas is embedded. I accept your offer, Lady Cassia. Cassia smiles. You've never seen her so open or so radiant. Thank you, rogue trader. Regent Artano remains silent for a time. So be it. We'll notice that our child has grown up and become strong. You may stay with the rogue trader until the house summons you. His influence is anomalous, but it has served to bring out the Blessed Tisiphone's most precious talent, the talent of leadership. Rogue Trader, we're now bound by the terms of the contract. Your representatives may contact House Celio at any time, and we will respond. And one more thing. Protect the child like the apple of your eye. Remember that you are the future novator of a Navis Nobilite house aboard your vessel. Lovely. Oh! Let's spoken to Cassia first. Black Priest greets you with a bow. His gaze is drawn to one of the cogitative bit screens. Your Lordship, the great mechanism has sensed your presence. Machine Spirit has recognized one who stands before it. Brief string of sacred codes signified a greeting as well as acknowledgement that you have successfully completed a certain task. Now the great mechanism stands ready to process your request. What task? That lies beyond the bounds of my knowledge. Tech Priest looks back at the cogitator. My supposition is that it might have something to do with your recent travels. That's my presence. How? The mechanism was molded in the forges of the Adeptus Mechanicus that might serve the rogue trader. It was in your presence that this machine spirit finally manifested itself, a miracle of the Omnissiah, and a testament to his glory. Enough of this. I wish I was something else. Access data from Dargonus. With reverent trepidation, the tech priest accepts the device from your hands and places it inside one of the drives, all while honoring the machine with modulating binauric prayer. The turbines within the cogitator stir into motion, and the bid screen lights up. Input pack.comp. No more stab true. Stat check init. No more unspur epitaph. Initiated. Oof, okay. Tech priest extracts the data straight from the cogitator and gives it to you. Machine Spirit has revealed the contents of the encrypted data, and I hereby pass it to you. This will at least limit my authorization, but you now have the option to review the data crypt personally. Treated like a lackey. It is humiliating and dispiriting to put up with the errand of a servant of the imperious madman, vested with even greater power than any rogue trader. Alas, when one side of the scales holds my pride and the other the fate of the Von Valencia's protectorate and my entire bloodline, choice becomes a futile illusion. It would appear far too naive of me not to prepare for the worst. Epitaph will decide my future for the expanse as a whole. But I have some time at my disposal until then. Heirs within the Von Valencia's blood in them soon will be located and brought to me. I cannot afford to delay the choice of my successor any longer.
It is so fortunate you have come. I admit I was seeking you out myself. After the events on Dargonus, it felt like an anthracite grey mantle had dropped on my shoulders. I spent a long time thinking about our very first meeting and what happened next. I cannot wait to shake off this dreary color. It was very naive of me to follow in the footsteps of the man who raised me in a gilded cage. And I was deaf to the needs of my own house. But you opened my eyes. As the future Novateur, I must gain wisdom to restore House Orselio to its former glory, no matter the cost. Thank you. It will be an honor to keep guiding your vessel through the Sea of Souls, for as long as the needs of our dynasties are aligned. You will hear no objection from me, Lord Captain.
You did not mention the Starway Atlas when we met.
I would never reveal this secret to an outsider, but you have come to my aid more than once already. The Starway Atlas is a sacred artifact of House Orselio. It helps our navigators chart a course through the warp. This crystal, the Atlas, has been inside me for as long as I can remember, giving me strength. But the others... I noticed the renegades in the palace were choked by ashen ghosts of despair when we met face to face. I swear the ghosts were reaching for their atlases.
Was the Atlas some kind of crystal that is implanted with navigators of House Orselio at birth?
But my Atlas is much more powerful than the others. It's the Atlas of Tisiphone herself. That is what people have whispered behind my back my whole life, although no one knew for certain. But I always suspected. I simply did not wish to admit it to myself.
So the navigators in your house fear the Atlas's power?
Certain navigators in my house have tried to kill me more than once. But the tales of Tisiphone's brutality, I am beginning to wonder. What if they are all true? What if I will be a new tormentor to those who serve me?
Said you wouldn't share your secret with just anyone. Does that mean I am someone to you?
I didn't. I only meant that... I am at ease in your company.
Keep on telling me.
Thank you for listening.
What is the special site reveal?
Reading Xenos' colors has always been a grueling challenge for me. The boundless palette of colors Iliad emanates is too painful to look at. Her hues are bright, blinding, unnatural, and very, very dangerous, Lord Captain. I would never entrust my safety to a being that screams so loudly and clearly of its alienness to human perception. Jai is like a gem. The brighter people shine around her, the clearer her faces reflect a myriad of colorful gleams. They are all parts of Jai, but no single one of them is her. I cannot discern her true colors through the veil of her motley shawls. I peel off hue after hue, only to find a different color underneath every time. Master Anthar is enveloped in dense gold, but like the sun on an ice world, its radiance offers no warmth, only the steely sheen of immovability. Sometimes I see flashes of another color. It is as if the metal carapace were only a screen, but deep down inside, scarlet fire rages. Janitor Febris's mind is so multifaceted. Azure, cobalt, indigo. How great is his drive to understand the workings of this world. But somewhere inside, in the very substance of all this blue, there is a cocoon of terracotta that holds within it some grievous feeling. It almost eludes my sight, but it absorbs all other hues. And sooner or later, it will consume them all, leaving nothing behind. I have enjoyed your company. Thank...
Okay.
To what do I owe this visit?
You want to discuss the nature of your mission?
Yes, but not here. I wouldn't want our conversation to be gossip fodder on the bridge and in the officers' mess.
Thank you for finding out what you usually don't. I trust I was the time to explain the reason for my return on my worship. I do not mention persons that I find in the continuous presence of an position we didn't have myself. No. The concern is unfounded, as long as there is a substantial reason for it. I hope there will not be one. The business then. According to the final dawn, the bad man reached the head of the doctrine among the religions of the close expanse, and estimates crimes against the throne and humanity. Not some crimes took place in the protectorate. A lot of people consider it necessary to have water like rights considered by trade on the voyage of the Clockwork region. I also need to be on my observer of the capital world doing. How many others in those agents investigate? Well, there somehow the Inquisition is organized anything. Yes. Initially arrival at once experiment detached and dictated by the main defense systems. And there is more. The cult is congestion is able to my main specialization. That's not like able to reveal the real truth, some say, but right now asking this with humility and patience. Yes. Chaos calls out the rapid and it's like the lane accusation against the dynasty. Chaos had ceased to take the soft human. The main danger of such cults and sects is that they are ceased. They can remain ignorant for decades, safe from all scrutiny, until opportunities sprout, grow, and bear monstrous fruit with evidence. The emergence of a cult of the chaos plans does not mean the dynasty head himself is a chaos worshipper. Having said that, it should be noted that the other ones was famous for the loose interpretation of the freedom granted by the Lord. And if you realize the public, but let me stained by ancestral transgressions. If it is indeed so, it is your best interest to do whatever necessary to redeem yourself, and then perhaps you get a chance to salvage the dynasty reputation. That's correct. I should show greater tolerance for the mistakes of a newly appointed arbitrator. To be frank, I am surprised. A lot of visitors are type to indulge the weakness of soul and mind, even someone who recently accepted the burden of the lofty pen. You have spies in the Bangladeshi space. Most I mentioned not a spy, but a secretary in the administration of Bangladesh. France governor and Pyro were fully aware of his status, his duties to fulfill the sacred oath to the golden throne, and liberated at suddenly beauty, the close expanse in abundance. My name is Achilles Calendar. Those we contact Dargonis, I will introduce you as head of dynasty. I'm sure you appreciate the presence of such an advisor among your subjects. I suggest you heed his words at least occasionally. I want to know more about the final dawn. Chaos Virtuous was often aged to the throne, running to low renegades, stirring up the rabble. Insane prophets and hysterical visionaries preaching the end of days. A passing comet, a mutiny rebellion, an onslaught of monsters. Each time they come up with a new reason why people should prostrate themselves and quiver in fear. Much effort in the blood-rose war of the Golden Throne was spent before they established the connection between the inheritors. However, the cult of Final Dawn was something greater than the gaggle of misguided seers and fortune tellers. They cleverly spread their agents over the whole world expanse, disseminating heresy among the honest people of the imperial worlds. There is a certain strategy to their actions that changes whenever we get too close. And finally, they had enough military power to have 2 ships that they had sent after them, later discovered as weapons. Growing difficulty in making warp jumps is detrimental to us, but unlikely to inconvenience those who engage in wild sorcery day in and day out. After the events of Lycon Manolis, I suspect the cult might have built this nest inside Venezuela's domain. Latest reports indicate it is in your protectorate's house in heretics. Being in your entourage improves my chances of getting closer to their secrets. I've already agreed to give you a bit of my ship. What else? Don't fail to deliver me into the system that contains the industrial world of Kiavagama. I will then accompany you to the surface and determine what the cult is planning and how it intends to use resources that are falling into their clutches. Which may very well include the blessed engines of the Devil Mechanicus and even the followers of the Omnissiah themselves. I will be frank. The answer to this question is likely to please either of us. The machinations of chaos usually go beyond solely inflicting countless death and destruction. Having their plan come to fruition will lead to a far more terrible consequences. One of the systems of the Chronos Expanse is already lost. May the Emperor protect us from watching the strategy play out again. Why is your suspicion fallen Kiavagama? These 20 pieces of data that finally merged into a single picture. Additionally, not long ago, a vessel from that world arrived on footfall. The reports from the crew were confused and alarming, making me fear a planet-wide rebellion. I met a Chaos Space Marine Rykard Minoris, to be disclaimed to his brothers. I have no doubt it'll happen sooner or later. Chaos Marine siding with a cult is very, very bad news. Most likely they kept away until recently. Pulling their puppet string from a respectable distance, these traitors seldom show up alone. The best we can count on is having to deal with a squad of Chaos Space Marines in the Chronos Expanse and not an entire company. Will anyone throw their weight around my worlds, be they servants of chaos, Xenos, or heretics? A commendable aspiration for a person who holds the fates of billions of people and dozens of Imperial worlds in his hands, which is why you need to be ever more vigilant when looking for seeds of corruption on your planets, lest they sprout one day and spell doom for whoever's tangled up in their roots. That's no discussion about the archenemy servants. Tell me about the Drukhari who stole Rykard's son. Hendrix winces. The Drukhari, one of the branches of the Eldari, an ancient and vicious Xenos race. Those creatures are a living terror to ordinary people who fall prey to their raids, for the simple reason that their victims are not just killed outright, but instead become their playthings. Just as you and I need air to survive, the Drukhari require psychic energy born from torment and pain, which they extract from their captives with uncanny expertise. Their ships, which are difficult to mistake for any other, arrive suddenly and undetected. Their stealth technologies greatly surpass the capabilities of standard Imperium augur arrays. The objective of their raids is never to capture a world or a ship. No. They're only interested in fresh victims. After filling their holes with living captives, they disappear into the webway, a different dimension which conceals their greatest stronghold, Kamora, the dark city of the Drukhari, from which none can hope to escape. And he says your expression. I do not know why the Drukhari stole Rykard's son and brought about the fulfillment of the cult's prophecies. Perhaps the Xenos themselves have played the archenemy's designs, or perhaps Aurora's divinations in fact describe the Drukhari's actions. There is only one thing I can say with absolute certainty. There is no alliance between the cult of the Final Dawn and the Xenos. It is simply impossible. I must go about my business. Is there anything else I need to know? Let me put it this way. You may think whatever you want of me, but my goal is not to hinder you. I'm here to help you in the fight against foes you may not even be aware of. You have my word that I will provide every assistance in uprooting the heresy that has sprouted from the Von Valencia's worlds while their master was away. And that I will try to be more patient with the less grievous flaws of the bearers of the warrant are sometimes known to have. Thank you for spending the time, Lord Captain.
Elantark?
I've been mulling over our conversation and I can understand why you do not like people. But I think there's something else, something that I cannot understand.
What do I see? Your words ring with the desire to know the soul of another. But will you be able to comprehend my answer? You and I, Elantark, look at this world in very different ways. And I see many more facets, and deeper meanings, and brighter colors in it. But to capture the full truth of this world in the miserly language familiar to your ears will take time. I will come to you with an answer later.
Strange and blasphemous things started happening during the first warp voyage with you on board. The crew are whispering that you may be the reason. Is this true?
The minions of She Who Thirsts could sense my soul behind the thick walls and thin veil that separate your fragile lives from the roiling fury outside. A child of Asurian that dare to wander beyond the veil, within the reach of an outstretched claw, protected only by the barrier of unreliable monkey technology. It is too tempting a quarry for the monsters that serve Cylon Thresh. Our ships never venture beyond the veil, and I never traveled the way you do, monkey. Elantark, I admit this was a novel experience. I lost composure, let dismay into my heart, and almost strayed from the path. This moment of hesitation drew the attention of She Who Thirsts. But I summoned my will and used the knowledge of meditation to achieve balance, and hide my soul behind an impenetrable wall of resolve. Future journeys beyond the veil will still be difficult, but I will steel my heart and not let the hounds of Cylon Thresh pick up my scent ever again.
Take my leave. Alright guys, I want to go for a smoke. I shall be right back. Stick around. Alright. We gotta deal with this situation here.
Stay sharp.
Choir Master Weiss turns towards you before you reach him. A chill runs down your spine as if someone were watching you from inside your own being. You summon your will and drive out the unpleasant sensation. The Choir Master smiles sadly. You shroud your mind well, your lordship. Yet I can guess why you have come. With all due respect, I am asking you to reconsider. So you would rather not take part in the search for mutineers. It is my wish to be useful to your lordship. But what you have come for will put the ship in peril. A ritual of this kind can certainly and go the worst way possible. Predecessor came to me with the same orders once. Nothing good came of it. Please believe me, Lord Captain, when I say a mountain of corpses was the least of the problems we faced that time. So you see, you performed a ritual before for Theodora. Many years ago, there was a time when Lady Theodora had become anxious. Perhaps the Lord Inquisitor's interest in her affairs adversely affected her. Shall we say trust in her own subjects? She was expecting a betrayal, and eventually her paranoia brought her to me. I performed the ritual, but the choir ceased to exist. I remember that day, Lord Captain. When we arrived at the chapel, there was blood and human remains everywhere. But that was the least of the terrifying things we saw there. The Asuriani spent decades tempering their spirits before touching the veil. You lack the gift of time, yet you seek to harness the powers that are only too pleased with your ignorance. What is the nature of this ritual? It takes the entire choir's power to invade such a prodigious number of minds at once, weave their voices into a chord and share it into a murky sea of other people's souls. Together we need tens of thousands of thoughts, emotions, and intents looking for the thing we are after, the seed of corruption you are interested in. Why are you so worried about the ritual? Lord Captain, do you know the proverb about staring too long into the abyss? What you are asking is tantamount to plunging the entire choir into that abyss. A ritual like that will require incredible focus from each of its participants. It will take a single careless thought, a single glance in the wrong direction for the way back to be lost. Human minds fusing into one another, vitrified organs will live inside still living bodies, perverse fantasies manifesting in the flesh. Nothing will stop the horrors of the war from spreading all over the ship in the blink of an eye. And even if I agreed, it would be impossible. I would need a second powerful telepath as a defender to shield my mind. The last time my best apprentice, Adeline, did that, but she's no longer with us. She was exceptionally talented, rivaling even myself. Now I only know one psyker in the entire House Expanse who is her equal, but he is bound to service of one of Witterscale's planetary governors and is thus unavailable to us, which makes your dangerous enterprise an impossibility. How bad was it? Worse than you can imagine, your lordship. It only took a fraction of a second lingering inside the mind of another for the astropaths to lose control of their own. The abduction spread down the chain like fire. No one was spared. The minds of my charges would not withstand the tension. Their consciousness were caught in a vortex of alien thoughts. The fortunate ones died at once. As for the rest, Ajita makes a sign of the quiller. Protect the souls of the stricken and take them under your wing, that your faithful servants may find peace. How did you survive? I managed out a call for help and did my best to contain the phantoms on my own before Lady Theodora arrived. I was the only survivor out of the entire choir. My ladyship allowed me to spend a month in secluded cell upon whose floors I drew the most powerful protective hexagrams I knew. I was crushed. I was broken. Most of all, I was afraid of meeting the same fate as Adeline and my apprentices. An astropath must never be afraid, your lordship. One who yields to fear dies and dooms those around them. How did you replenish the choir? Lady Theodora bombarded the Adeptus Ministratum for months with requests to provide her with a new astropathic choir. In the end, new voices did fill the chapel. They were never told what happened to the previous choir, but they have inklings. And I pray to the God Emperor that they never find out the details of that tragedy. How is a ritual like that even possible? It's akin to heresy. It is not heresy, but it is indeed a dangerous tool that will only yield to a mighty hand. That time things were going all too well. The choir was many-voiced like never before. Adeline and my talented apprentices sounded louder than the rest of the astropaths in all of the expanse. We were strong and confident enough to take on the bold gamble, and we lost. The one thing I'm interested to know is, was the ritual successful that time? Did you find what you were looking for? The choir master cowers as if cornered. I did find it, but the price. Yes, Lady Theodora got the name she wanted, but was it worth it? The tragedy has remained a secret within the chapel, but we were a hair's breadth away from becoming an epitaph inscribed on the ship's remains. It's fair to say my predecessor was being herself there. Please, Lord Captain, learn from our mistakes instead of committing your own. See. There's the harsh truth, dear Lordship. Must not be done. I'm not going to lose my life for this ritual, and the search for the rebels has become quite tiresome as well. We can find a psycho who will help you perform the ritual. And who is it? How about Adira? Absolutely not! The first time you ever heard the choir master raise his voice. She's a witch, an abomination. She'll only make the situation worse. The beast of the warp will sense her heresy-prone soul and descend upon us in droves. Will you look at that? The great choir master scared of my little whispers. Adira breaks into trills of laughter. Her mirth almost seems excessive. Stop shaking, will you, old man? I'm going to protect you and your buggy-eyed pal from what's behind the door. You'll thank me yet. Heinrichs is a psycho. He could help. Master von Calix is a brilliant biomancer, your lordship, but as far as I know, he's not particularly adept at telepathy or psycho's protective rituals, is he? He's right, Nero. Now, some of the fundamentals, but this isn't my primary field. You mentioned a powerful psycho employee with widow scales. Who is he? Master Hermann is a seasoned telepath, but his lord would never part with such an incredibly valuable specialist. A sizable amount of money will be necessary to organize Master Hermann's escape. I'll hire a professional set up his escape. Send a message to whoever might ought to know. As you please, Master Hermann will welcome the news of his forthcoming release. His present lord is quite unpleasant. I'll report back once Master Hermann has been brought aboard. I'll be right back, guys. You get a drink. I mean, I'm not changing anything. I'll just be... Yeah. The Emperor protects your lordship. What brings you to this holy abode? You're positively beaming with joy. A priest like you is a rare sight. Aldebert laughs good-naturedly. A fair observation. Everyone knows that the clergy must maintain a stern appearance to inspire fear and awe in their flock. His mirth fades, giving way to a pensive gravitas. The truth is that my clan and I expected great hardship. I cannot explain how it is I'm standing before you except by his will. How can one be anything but joyful knowing they were saved by the Emperor? What happened to your clan? I was scarcely more than a child when the malady struck our captains. First would come a fever, then the unlucky victim would start retching blood. After they would melt away like a candle. Only the youngest survived, myself among them. But now my family is growing, and I'm grateful for each new life that replaces the one lost. Still, your gentle manner may adversely affect your flock's faith. An accurate observation from a lord who knows the importance of keeping faith on his ship. The gentleness you speak of is skin deep. On the inside, my faith and spirit are pure adamantine. Decades instructing the crew in fighting the dangers of the void and the warp have required nothing less. My resolve in the face of monstrous threats we face must always be 100 times firmer than that of my flock. The topics to discuss. Did Lady Theodora come here often? The predecessor always had due concern for the reliquary's maintenance and its needs. Under her rule, the faith occupied its proper place on this ship. People confess to you, do they not? I'm destined to know the thoughts of some of my subjects. Ours is a throne-fearing flock that regularly leaves vox recordings in the shrine confessional, housed in the eastern part of the reliquary. This allows us to maintain constant watch for any heretical tendencies. We can observe the earnesty in which our parishioners render their duties, as well as any dangerous dissent brewing in their minds. Initiate Clotus is responsible for sorting confessions. He would be honored to offer you access to the confessional cogitator. Take my leave. May the Emperor's blessing be with your lordship. Lanky initiated leaning near the cogitator, an expression of extreme mental effort on his face, his fish-like round eyes peering into the screen. Grant me understanding, master. Grant me wisdom. Which is that you approach? Your lordship. How may I be of service? Who are you and what do you do here? I am Clotus, junior cleric. I sought recordings from the shrine of confessional to pass on to the higher-ranking clergy. Tell me more about this confessional. Our parishioners come here to repent, to share their innermost thoughts and observations from their neighbors. Sacred machine records all confessions and alters the voices beyond recognition. Is there any way to find out who made which confession? There is not. Clotus shakes his head resolutely. That would undermine the usefulness of it. The first prototype wasn't anonymous. Even so, confessions might as well have been carbon copies of each other. Everyone was impeccably diligent and pious and whatnot. But as soon as the machine spirit started keeping the name secret, the parishioners opened up. Good thinking keeping it anonymous. Keep up the fine work. I will endeavor to do so, your lordship. It appears you have difficulties. Nothing escapes your lordship's notice. As it so happens, I am struggling to categorize 3 rather peculiar confessions. I wouldn't have dared tell you about them, but I think they may have been left by senior officers, which would make this matter of the highest order, one that is far beyond my meager understanding. These confessions, you see, are far from being examples of pious conformity. I dread the very dissent or heresy poisoning the minds of some of the most eminent members of the crew, but I cannot change what I heard. He was said in reverence. I cannot share this with anyone but the Emperor's anointed, nor can I allow anyone but your lordship to listen to these messages protected by the secrecy of confession. What makes you think these confessions were made by senior officers? These parishioners are well-spoken, meaning they are used to addressing an audience. Perhaps they issue orders or are vested with power. And well, after categorizing so many confessions, I have learned to notice the subtle difference between them. Oh, let me hear them. Initiate steps aside, putting the cogitator at your disposal. Recording 17FL.2. Alleged dissent, impious doubt. One question has troubled me for years. Why are some destined to perish in the warp while others must go on living and preserve the memory of the dead? Worthier and more luminous souls have been lost, and yet I am still here. Light static is distorting the recording, but you are confident that the speaker is male. 134 DU, alleged theft of ship property. The officers on the ship have already provided with bare essentials, but every so often, I consider increasing their rations and ordering more sets of clothes for them. That will not replace the families they lost, but I will improve their lives somewhat, especially given the ship has enough resources to cover that comparatively trivial expense. Despite this poor sound quality, you discern the voice to be male. You've heard the bridge officers gossiping that the High Factotum is taking personal charge of the orphans. Recording 502 alleged coded message, irreverence. Lop-eared kleppers display a high degree of socialization both among their kind and toward their owners. These animals adjust well to the void ship's lower gravity, and it seems similar to their homeworld's conditions. Lop-eared kelp meat is edible, should necessity demand it. Vows are muffled as though from behind a thick layer of glass, but is unmistakably a woman's. He looks at you, intrigued, but does not say a word. I am curious to know about who left these confessions. I will seek them out. I suppose these confessions are truly special if your lordship is giving them personal attention. Never would I have imagined the rogue trader himself would coming to my aid. Regarding your confession sorting problem, leave it to your concerns. I labor for the glory of the Emperor and House von Valancius. A broad-shouldered young priest makes a sign of the Aquila. The Emperor protects, your lordship. How may I be of service? Who are you? Initiate Zeke, your lordship. Recite prayers and help the confessor Adalbert with rites. And what is this relic next to you? He looks over the sarcophagus, the skeleton within, clutching an orb made of many tightly fitted hoops covered in glyphs. A mysterious object, but undeniably a holy one. It was donated by a group of pilgrims who studied the legacy of the great missionary Nadine Alienkov. They believed there was something inside that only someone truly righteous was meant to have. One of the pilgrims was so desperate to witness the moment of the orb's opening that they bequeathed their body to us. A riddle. Cassia's eyes light up with curiosity. It would be most interesting to learn what is stored inside, Lord Captain. Would you like to try opening the orb? Do you have any ideas on how to open this orb? One of your predecessors was the last to attempt solving this relic's mystery. It happened a long time ago before Lady Theodora was born. That's all I know. Why not just disassemble it? To damage a sacred relic is an unthinkable crime, and to use force to bypass tests of wisdom and faith, it contains terrible blasphemy. Open the reliquary. I'm ready to try to solve the mystery of this orb. The initiate opens the lock and hands you the orb. Someone has already moved the hoops around, trying to arrange letters into meaningful sentences. Only take a few rotations for the orb to split cleanly into 4 parts, each with its own question. The answer should presumably be formed using adjoining hoops. Form the question in the orb's first quarter. My light reaches everywhere. Greedy will see me in gold, the scholars in humanity's cradle, but only the righteous will see me within their souls. Emperor? Form the question in the orb's second quarter. I am within every human, and my loss is feared, for without me comes an end. But give me to the Emperor, and you will be eternal. So, third quarter. I am poison, I am perdition, I am disgrace. Burn me down, eradicate me, or perish rejected by the Emperor. The shaman quickly scours the recesses of memory for any fragments of Nadine Alienkov's sermons. Recall that she mercilessly denounced the weakness of those who have faith in the Emperor but are incapable of translating that faith into deeds. She must have despised the shortcoming of the soul more than any other. Weakness. The click, the hoop settles into place. Form the question in the orb's remaining quarter. In your body, mind, and soul, you must possess me. I am no mere absence of stains. I bring you closer to him. If I recall the pages of the life of Nadine Alienkov correctly, this part speaks about purity. The saints saw it as the quintessence of all other virtues. Purity. Hey. Throne. So, strength. life. Weakness. Purity. Quilla. Faith. It is the throne. Tried everything else. Maybe try the one I haven't tried. This one we know is weakness. This one we know is purity. Oh! Sick. The orb comes alive. Its hoops shift with alarming speed, coming together and folding into each other until the orb completely opens up, laying its treasure bare. The initiate stares at the relic in your hands and stunned. How strange and exciting it is to behold the holy object that has lain hidden from eye of so many years. Truly, it is a great day upon which the rogue trader himself has revealed the legacy of the great missionaries to us all. Tell me, Adalbert, do you visit the shrine confessional to repent as others officers do? I always find time for penance on my morning and evening shifts, your lordship. Why are some destined to perish in the warp while others must go on living? Irrelevant question. His face takes an expression of fathomless wisdom and calm. Our fates are in the Emperor's hands, and he does as he plans require. Offers on the ship have been provided with bare essentials, have they not? You mean spiritual nourishment? It's ever in short supply. Those children who are literate could use new prayer books and hagiographs for their own perusal to read the others. And see, wasn't you?
Venture forth. Now that's interesting.
Power more, is that the name?
The web serves.
The Emperor sets my path.
This master-crafted patella augment is not fit for a servitor.
Fury. So that's FU. Where is R? R. I.
The
A.
web beckons.
Pleasure to see you, Lord Cat. How may I be of assistance? Have you made a confession lately? Your Lordship, you are truly masterful at springing unexpected questions on a man. However, I admit I don't quite understand this one. The orphans on the ship have been provided with the bare essentials, have they not? Pyro fidgets nervously with the rings on his fingers until he mutters courage to reply. I will not pry as to how your Lordship found out about my confession, but I suppose there's some questions for you. You have a good heart, it seems. I am surprised. As am I, to tell the truth. Sensitivity is a vice in one responsible for ensuring the nation's prosperity. However, I cannot help it, which is why I unburden my soul in confession. I am willing to allocate extra resources to provide for the orphans. I marvel at your generosity. Will there be any specific instructions, your Lordship? I trust you with this matter. Spend as much as you deem necessary. The Factotum's eyes glisten sentimentally. The children will know that you are their benefactor. As for me, I can assure you that I will find ways to procure enough funds to cover the expenses. I'm too lazy to read all this.
My actions speak louder than words. Always striving for greatness.
Your Lordship, Ashapa smiles at you, the shy, awkward smile of someone unused to smiling. Like a mechanism working again with no disruptions. With trembling hand, the psyker hands you a strip of paper with smooth rows of etched character, this time containing no errors. Agency rises proudly to his feet and says, Low Gothic, a language he clearly has not much practice in. The sacred words and the virtuous thoughts turn towards Machine God. I have been able to pacify the mechanism's wayward spirits. Omnisaya, blessings. How lucky we are that the venerable tech priest is so pious and wise. This statement is true. I recommend installing 2 incense burning units in this compartment to prevent the spirit's continued anger. The unit, Zachary Weiss, will be provided with a list of minor recommendations, 142 in total, for improvements to the compartment's maintenance. Failure to implement will result in sanctions on the part of the Erectus Mechanicus priesthood.
Let's seize the moment. Forge ahead, never linger. Marching ahead.
She's the only female officer I have, I guess. The Vox Master looking at you differently. Even the static coming from a Vox speaker sounds especially loud and nervous today. Look around the bridge. Inescapable tension has gripped not only Victus but also seemingly the rest of the officers. They stand frozen, their eyes glued to you. Cassie notices you. Cassie turns away, shrinking back as if trying to disappear. Vox Master, something happened. We just had a shipwide broadcast, Lord Captain. What broadcast? There was a shipwide broadcast while you and Mistress Haydari were relaxing. I mean, there was a broadcast of relaxation activities. So, what did you make of the broadcast? Extraordinary, Your Lordship. As the father of a rather large family, I can assure you that you have upheld the name of a dynasty, Lordship. This feat, it beats the highest his place for the God Emperor's envoy in every sense of the word. None of the comments burst the dam. There's an anarchic uproar on the bridge. The officers were not quite often exposed to the entertainment, no able to contain the tempest of emotion swelling inside them. And who heard it? Everyone did. The entire vessel. With the exception of Deck 18ST, the Vox relay there happened to be cut out of order at the time. Ravel's nonchalant remark caused someone to choke and prodded him to suppress a chuckle. I still don't understand. What broadcast? Well, the entire ship heard you carrying on with Mr. Haydari, Lord Captain. We won't spare any details. The grunts, the moans, the gasps, and all the other non-regulation activities. Is this some kind of bad joke? Vinny puts her hands to her chest and says compassionately, I would not have dared, not even thought of mocking your lordship in such a shocking manner. I confess, I too was astounded by what happened, by what was happening. Wait. So it wasn't common practice? I assumed it was a traditional ritual of the upper decks, although I had my doubts. The cyclic giggle comes from the side of Adira, clapping her mouth shut, but she cannot stop herself. Voxbox, I have a question. Was it sabotage or criminal negligence? It was either, Lord Captain. The Vox broadcast was initiated from inside your chambers by someone who was present there. I suppose if it wasn't you, must have been Mistress Haydari. I am unauthorized to terminate such broadcasts, except a treacherous note creeps into Vigdis's voice, resembling a suppressed chuckle, except in cases when they explicitly jeopardize the safety of the vessel and her crew. Bring me Jai Haydari. I have a question for her. A triumphant smile is as good as any confession. Here is the orchestrator of your unwitting performance. Shaheen, I am eager to please. The smuggler's perfectly innocent expression is admirable in its own way. Jai, you minx. You could have warned me. Where would be the fun in that? Aside from this incident, nothing worthy of note occurred during your watch, Captain. At these words, the fierce excitement tripping the bridge officers slowly begins to dissipate. Lopius Klepas, the confession. I assume you heard my confessional message, Victus replies without a hint of awkwardness. Do you wish to talk about it? But the more important question is why. I was fault checking the Vox devices of the ship reliquary. Message recordings works, but deletion does not. You have helped me establish that. Thank you. Wait, why lop-eared Klepas so specifically? At that time, I had nothing to repent of, so I dictated an excerpt from an old letter to my mother. As you heard, it contained arguments in favor of keeping lop-eared Klepas on the ship. I thought I had for memory. Victus, I want a pair of Klepas on board the ship. I'm going to quote my mother's response. That is impossible. You see, the species went extinct several centuries ago. His voice goes ever so quiet, slightly warmer. I am very sorry, Lord Captain. There aren't any Klepas to be had. Your confession perplexed the initiate. Find a way to delete it and we shall forget about it. Will do, Lord Captain. Would you like to discuss other matters? Have the Vox Press brought you anything interesting lately? Give me, Lord Captain. I have no information that would be of interest to you at this moment. That'll be all for now. Actually, you know what? I'm curious. Lord Captain Asbath received a message from Michaelius Scamander on Dragonis. He closely studied the data from the incursion on Weabo 6, including the mention of the Xenos leaders. He promised to direct some efforts to its aids to identify those enemies of humanity so the location can be determined. Master Scamander is also reporting Drukhari are getting ready for more attacks on your territory. Information from his aides continues to arrive, and Achilles will personally report you the moment the target for upcoming raid becomes clear. Drukhari excel at catching their opponents off guard, and there will be little time to mount a response. According to Master Scamander, your personal participation in the defense would be the best strategy given the circumstances. Lord Captain, this is Master Helmsman Revo. The crew's grumbling again. They've got right reason this time. Our analytics systems have gone totally bonkers. The Red Robes, tech priests are blaming the anger of the machine spirits. Allegedly, this is how they profess their displeasure at the crew not being worshipful. We have largely managed to stabilize the output of the augers and expresses across the ship, but you should know there's some awfully sketchy about the machine these days. I can confirm, Lord Captain, the vessel's analytical systems were behaving incorrectly for a time. The coordinators could not produce statistical data and displayed meaningless numeric combinations instead. The augers failed to correctly analyze matter and mistook solids for liquids and vice versa. Thanks to the tech priest efforts, standard operation of the ship's mechanisms has been restored. I'm still registering sporadic reports of similar malfunctions, but we should be able to handle them. Lord Captain, I humbly request an audience with you. Proctor Anthar is interfering with the crew and is demanding to see all archival records of fugitive criminals we have received from the Imperial Navy. The matter is urgent, if you please, Lord Captain. I'll meet both of you immediately. Thank you, Lord Captain. Your Lordship, Proctor Anthar is interfering with the work of the crew. He is intimidating and threatening them, demanding access to the ship's sealed archives. As for his dog, Victor's paws, shifting her gaze to the Cybermastiff and tucking her hand behind her back. I humbly request that you take action. Victus, what's wrong with your hand? Allow me to explain. The Voxmaster tried to pet Glato, which activated a self-device protocol. As a result, I had to step away from my duties to have my implants replaced, esteemed Proctor. I already apologized. In any case, what happened was the expected outcome from unauthorized contact with the living weapon of the Adeptus Arbites. Victus, why did you try to pet Glato? I did it. This is the first time you ever seen the Voxmaster grow so agitated. I did not try to pet him. It's not customary to keep such cyberbeasts on a void ship, Lord Captain. This is my first encounter with such a creature that Glato, it was following me all over the bridge. And you decided to interfere with his work protocol. We discussed Solomon a cold glance while continuing. I had studied the archives and found mention of a ritual list established to contact that involves an offering of physical interaction with the beast. You are literally talking about bribery, a pointless act. Cyber masters cannot be bribed, and neither can arbitrators. Solomon, stop interrupting at once. Proctor nods briefly. Solomon, why are you sabotaging the work of the crew? I was compelled to intervene as Glato intercepted a suspicious signal. The encrypted message contained the words heresy and fugitive. I managed to trace the signal back to Voxmaster's workstation. I needed to dispatch Glato on a reconnaissance mission, to obtain new evidence and ultimately to ensure your safety. In other words, you sent your beast to follow me. I questioned the crew in the Voxmaster's absence, and established that the wanted bulletins were sent by the Imperial Navy were being completely ignored. I suspect that Senior Officer Tolman is abusing your trust. What do you have to say to that, Victus? Victus presses her hands together. Reports of fugitive criminals, which number in the hundreds, are of low priority. What's more, I know that the Lord Captain, Lady Theodora, was most adamant on the matter. If you forgive me, her exact words are, we are not Grok's damned bounty hunters. The Proctor would know that if he had tried to broad his questions to me and other interrogating astropaths and comms officers. As for the Vox transmissions, the frequency used by the senior officers is encrypted. I informed the staff of the situation regarding the Voidsmen, who were earlier brought before you on the bridge for trial. Need I remind you, Lord Captain, that Proctor Anthar has no authority to access transmissions conducted by the senior officers of the Rogue Trader's flagship, not to mention that signal was unlawfully intercepted. Were you aware there was a heretic hiding among the ship's crew? No, Lord Captain. He was not on the list of wanted criminals in the Kronos Expanse. I assume it's because the relative insignificance of the heresies he was accused of by the Calixan authorities. Perhaps Proctor Arthur information to which Imperial Navy does not have access. Solomon, what are you suggesting? Your flagship is untouchable for external inspections. Because it's a high status, the criminals are taking advantage of that. So you need an internal audit. You need to pull up the archives of wanted bulletins and double check the crew records. That is the only way to identify and eliminate potential threats to you. This is madness. For ships whose office core alone comprises hundreds of people, the work hours that would take for such an audit. I have listened to you and I am ready to make my decision. Solomon, you will be granted access to the archives and lead an audit of my crew. As you command, Rogue Trader. So it's a deadly thing. There's more interspersed encounters, I suppose. Lord Captain, a disturbing report has come from the quarries of Verbo 6. Convicts have lost their minds. They forget how to use tools. They huddle together and continue to stare aimlessly into the space, even under the lashes of whips, ruining the mining deadlines. Some are possessed with the urge to use their nails to scratch blasphemous symbols on tools, machines, and even their own bodies. The most mad have painted the walls several mines from floor to floor with series of symbols that have gone off deep into the mining tunnels. None of them could be found. The overseers considered a ploy to divert attention away from the escapes of an impending rebellion. What are those symbols being scratched by the convicts? It's hard to give these drawings any sort of intelligible definition. Unnaturally round circles connected by lines. The lines are interrupted by groups of dots. Some patterns follow a certain common logic, while others are unique. I can provide your lordship with picts of them. After examining the pict, you realize the symbols are connected through a strange logical sequence. What do my advisors have to say? I am detecting an intriguing pattern in the drawing of the symbols left by the prisoners. Hypothesis: they have a practical purpose. Requesting clearance for the Adeptus Mechanicus to access the mines and investigate the specimens. Disappearing prisoners? What's the point of running away from a penal servitude if the entire world is a prison cell? No, Shireen. These ashbanks have some sort of smuggling tunnel and are hiding there. And the drawings are their secret language, which they use to give orders to their fellow prisoners. I know some guys who can find such secret places and decipher these languages. If the convicts continue to disappear for no reason, the unrest will soon to follow. Whether out of fear or hope for a possibility of escape, to stifle this, we must put pressure on the convicts' leaders. My experience suggests that such people can hold more sway than any overseer. A fish rots from the head, and a prison begins to collapse because of its overseers. It is suspicious that no one has managed to get down to the bottom of the problem. Lean on the senior staff to get information we need. Someone in prison must be exploiting the situation for their own ends. Jay, have your savvy associates investigate exactly where my servants have wandered off to. For generous fee, my people could find even the smallest stone tossed at the bottom of the sea, Shireen. A squad of daring smugglers slipped into the mines and discovered a long collapsed tunnels that have been cleared very recently. A naturally even wall covered in strange symbols caught their attention. The tunnel went deep and was not of any mining maps. The colony administration gave orders to conduct an archive survey, banned the work in the sector, and had guards posted there until the original tunnel could be established. According to the ancient chronicles and maps handed to you by the pilgrim, this icy planet used to be a prosperous imperial colony. However, a sharp change in its trajectory brought upon by the warp anomaly raging in the system caused the world to distance itself from the local star. In less than a decade, the planet's surface was completely encased in ice, sealing a wealth of machines and artifacts of the Imperium inside a glacial tomb. Use the augurs to scan the planet. This the pilgrim's records were true. The augurs managed to locate the shapes of several imperial buildings buildings under layers of snow and ice. The one can only guess what purpose they used to serve. Develop a plan for changing the planet's climate without support from the Imperium. After deliberating, senior officers unanimously decided that only the Adeptus Mechanicus possessed the technologies required for such a project of such a massive scale. The rogue trader should contact their representatives in the Cronus Expanse and secure future cooperation. Your crew is treated to an amazing sight. The Armory world, which spent decades under layers of tightly packed ice, blooms before them like a carpet of black flowers, revealing hundreds of Imperial supply bases amidst the melting snow broth. They are practically untouched by time. About the world with the representatives of the Adeptus Administratum. The Imperium will not forget your noble act. They promise to reward you a combination as soon as passage of the Cronus Expanse becomes available. When we started the war jumps, rumors of ill omens have been widespread among the Voidsmen. Sudden deaths among the crew, ravaged corpses, jagged shadows lurking behind the bulkheads. A Terran day later, the mystery unraveled itself in the most heinous manner. An attempt at the rogue trader's life. The question is how the Drukhari Xenos came aboard. Ship will be pawned for another time. Right now, the Lord Captain has to fight for his life. Alright. Let's fuck up some Drukhari. Oh, this is a reused map. Mediocre.
Your execution is assured.
Emperor, protect me. Don't touch me.
I understand your intent.
I can't stand it. This way.
Emperor, protect me. Don't touch me.
Death is a blessing.
These ruby flashes are choking me.
There is only death, yours or mine. think
colors again.
my body was
This
suffering?
wound will make a fine scar. Let's patch you up.
Watch your steps.
An incredible find has been made on Falsewood, Lord Captain. A lost volume of St. Keith's diary has been discovered during the restoration of his crypt. By following the Saint's words, the Order of the Hammer were able to find a crypto-ark containing the thick relic of St. Cognatius, the Crucible. Keith's writings on it are vague. It's called the Sculptor and Transformer, granting life and grace. Explorators have a delegation sent to lay claim to the treasure, which has sparked a heated dispute that has been going on for many days. Let's see my companions. It is likely that the research contained in the ancient treaties and archival repositories of the Adeptus Mechanicus will provide factual information on similar precedent. I can spare some of my computing power to find a case and provide my brothers and sisters with information that is necessary to win this dispute. I believe that the chronicles of the Amalian Conclave describe the mythical miracles witnessed by zealots while praying at an ancient battle of St. Capius. Should the Crucible perform a similar miracle, then no doubts will remain that is indeed a holy relic and not the property of the Adeptus Mechanicus. Shireen, do you know the best motivation to make your enemies ripe for the compromise, the danger of losing any sort of benefit? It is within your power to take the Crucible for yourself and use the privilege of your warrant, if you so desire, or you simply not imply such a possibility to the parties involved. Let's see how long it takes for them to come to a consensus now. As soon as the news of Rogue Traders' bellicose stance on the Crucible reached the ears of the disputing sides, they unanimously decided to start looking for a compromise. It took them several cycles to reach an agreement on their collective maintenance of the Crucible. In the process of forming their alliance, the monks and the tech priests have discovered they have something in common. Both groups hold strong convictions that are truly devoted to their relics, and those two sides are now endeavoring to see the other as a true like-minded supporters, not mere reluctant allies. Research of the Crucible has identified it as a device for surface terraforming. Fueled by the geothermal energy of the planet, it could turn a wasteland into a blooming garden. However, a way to launch it has yet been found. Go on.
You are spoiling me with the splendor of your presence again, Shireen. Have you decided to treat your soul to the fruits of my eloquence? Or do you wish to discuss business with the newly appointed owner of a Mercatum Tabula Officiale?
Jai, do you know why my service-call escort has started saying some rather unusual things?
The exalted one himself must have put the words of truth into its mouth, Shireen. Oh.
My apologies. 19% of my processing power is engaged in the analysis of my tech comrade's memory. My response time may be longer than usual.
Have you found anything out?
The data is scarce. His identification code is the same as mine, and his memory contains data confirming that the assassination did take place. Unfortunately, some of his memory was damaged by pulses broadcast by his battle harness. I can assert with some confidence that he was who he claimed to be, and that he served the Deus Mechanicus earnestly and eagerly.
You're not surprised that Ravenna's words had such an effect on Opticon 22?
I was not knowledgeable as to how popular Blessed Amanat's teaching was in explorator circles. The Cognizance fleet is massive. His ideas might have found a larger following on its periphery than in the Mother Squadron.
Gave off the impression of a paranoid madman.
Notwithstanding his permanent state of agony, he was not cognitively dysfunctional. His desire to immediately destroy the object he had deemed profane was partly dictated by his engrammatic augmetics, which were receiving imperatives from his battle harness. In light of the oddness of our matching identification codes, I find merit in his hypothesis as to the existence of a clandestine malevolent agent or conspiracy operating inside our fraternity.
Who do you think was behind the assassination?
No data available. I will hypothesize that the assassination was instigated by an enemy of the Blessed Amanat's doctrine. I accept the possibility that the assassins were targeting me, only to be led astray by Tarsus and my own identical identifiers. I am concerned about the fate of Archmagos Amanat. According to Opticon 22, he went missing in the wake of the incident on an Arc Mechanicus, the Hermetico. Information about that ship and its perishing has been purged from the archives. I accept the possibility that the incident on the ship, the concealed data, and the assassination have all been part of a single conspiracy.
Ravenna was a believer and he caused a schism. Tarsus was a believer, he turned into a zealot. Faith can be dangerous.
Of course, faith is dangerous. Faith is the prerogative of the spirit, and a spiritless mind is an enemy of all existence. Without faith, there is no meaning in anything, no point to any aspirations or limitations. But faith can take different forms. The form of prohibitions established by unknown elders. The form of an audacious violation of those prohibitions. The form of following dogma or of schism. The form of following the cycle or of discontinuing the cycle. In a system with two courses of action, schism is inevitable. And only one of these paths will be true, as truth is discreetly separate from untruth. The Omnissiah has bestowed upon us the supreme mission, the quest for knowledge. The fact of its existence confirms that reason is yet to comprehend and quantify the universe in its entirety. This precludes the existence of any prohibition that could be considered universally relevant. All limitations need their exceptions, yet exceptions belie the inviolability of prohibitions.
Jesus. Perhaps you will be able to find out more.
I will continue my research into the Blessed Martyrs. May your labor...
Domin.
Rogue trader. What dispute I find?
Alright. On that note, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to call my stream there. Thank you guys all for watching. This was a bit more of a chilled out stream. Didn't have much to do, much to talk about. So, you know, it is what it is. Thank you guys all so much for watching. I'll catch you guys all next time. So from me to you guys, until then, peace out.